Hello, I'm Mrs. Wilcock, and today I'm going to be reading The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson and pictures by Axel Scheffler. Now, this book is good for ages, let's say grades, kindergarten to probably third grade, second or third grade. It's a really good book. I love this book. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson, pictures by Axel Scheffler. Let me just turn it a little bit. There you go. I can see it a little better. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big gray-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. Now, do snails have feet? No, snails don't have feet. So, with the snail with an itchy foot, it must mean something else. Sometimes phrases say one thing and mean something else. So what do you think a snail with an itchy foot could mean? What do you think they mean by that? That's a good idea. I'll keep reading and we'll see. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships on the dock. And as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed, "The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail," said the tiny snail. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with an itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wiggle, sit still, stay put." So what do you think the itchy foot means? Those are good ideas. But the tiny sea snail sniffed and sighed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a ride." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled and said, "Ride wanted around the world." You see that? Ride wanted around the world. This is the whale who came one night, when the tide was high and the stars were bright, a humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out for the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." You see him? He's going on the whale. This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and far-off lands, with fiery mountains and golden sands. So what do you think a fiery mountain could be? Have you ever seen a fiery mountain? What do you think it could be? You can look at these pictures. What do you think they mean by fiery mountain? That's a good idea. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are caves beneath the waves, where colorful fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swim past the whale and the snail on his tail. You see the little snail? He's seeing all these sharks. I would be a little scared if I saw those sharks, would you? This is the sky, so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. And she gazed at the sky, the sea, the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, "I feel so small." But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. This is the tide slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. "Quick, off the sand, back to sea," cried the snail. "I can't move on land, I'm too big," moaned the whale. So what happened to the whale? Why can't he move? You're right. It's because he's on the sand, and the whale needs to be in the ocean to swim around. He's too big. He can't move on the sand, huh? So he needs help. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, "I've got it," she cried, and started to crawl. "I must not fail," said the tiny snail. What do you think the snail's going to do? That's a good idea. Let's see what she does. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, "Sit straight, don't talk." This is the board as black as soot. And this is the snail with an itchy foot. "A snail! A snail!" The teacher turns pale. "Look," say the children, "it's leaving a trail." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that's saying, "Save the whale!" These are the children running from school, fetching a fireman, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. Why are they spraying him, do you think? Why does the whale need water on his head? You're right. Whales need water to live, huh? So they're trying to help him be okay and to live so he can go back into the ocean. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, "Hooray!" as the whale and the snail travel safely away. They did it! Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, "How time's flown, and haven't you grown?" And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery tail, saved the life of the humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the gray-blue humpback whale. The end. What was your favorite part of the story? That was a good part. My favorite part was when the little snail was able to do a big thing to help the whale, even though she felt really small and didn't feel like she could help. And I think that's really cool because we're kind of stuck in quarantine right now. And I think it's really cool that even though we can't leave our house and we're doing something, it seems like we're doing something small, we're doing something really big by making sure that this sickness doesn't go around and a lot of people don't get more sick. So I think that's really cool. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you want, I have a little activity that you can do. If you want, you can grab, if you have some paper or something to draw with, like crayons or markers or even a pencil, then you can draw where you would want to go if you were the snail. Where would you want to go? Is it a place? Is it like a beach? A place with lots and lots of trees? Is it storming outside, or is it bright blue skies? Where would you want to go if you were the snail? That's a good place. Well, I think you should go draw it and maybe make up a story with that drawing and pretend that you're the snail and what you would see. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for reading with me.